Hey guys, at the end, spoken label back in the house on a Sunday evening. Yeah, it's getting a bit dark in here. I'm going to go put the lights on in a bit, but we'll cross that when we get to it. So, yeah, this actually is my last one for the summer break for the spoken label. We're a bit late this year as well because various reasons. So I'm not going to go into it, but we've got a wonderful lady with us today, and it's known actually because I've been mentoring a couple of younger writers this year. I've got one of them with me today. She's tremendous. We've got the fantastic Courtney Ward with us today. Now, Courtney, when did we first meet then? Can you remember?
Um, I think we first met maybe, was it beginning of the year? I think. I can't really remember. My dates are a bit dodgy, but um I think it must have been on an open mic somewhere, I think.
Yeah, I think, and I could be wrong with this, and someone might tell us off this. It was I either met you or Nick Lovell's and Clive Oswald's old Beehive or Natalie Caw's Bounty. It was one of them.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Sounds about right, doesn't it? Yeah. Well, I said I first came aware of you from our mutual friend Charlotte Bain. Charlotte, didn't I? And I met
Mhm.
Charlotte back in the last year when she headlined Oh Beehive, which was fantastic. You might have been there on that night. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
Could be,
was definitely there. Yeah.
but we didn't get talking for a bit anyway. And I know we got talking when Charlotte recommended you to me a couple of months ago. And sometimes you find out from you talk to people on podcasts, you're best getting to know them and make you become friends with them properly if you're getting them on here. And I think this worked for you, Courtney, didn't it? Really, when we sort of first to do it this way.
Yeah. I'm the type of person that it takes me time to I think it takes me time to build that trust with someone.
Yeah, that's said.
And for me, even open mics, even events, like I have to get my head around, this exists, or I know the people there before I
Yeah,
go and do it.
no,
So
get completely loving it. Is if I like if you're cop shy, it's like me. It's not a problem usually. Your case because you're more on the more sensitive side. Yeah, I agree with you. So now we're here today to talk about your poetry, aren't we? So
yeah.
now there's quite a lot of ground in this. I'm going to state before we start this one as well. I There is going to be some trigger warnings in some of these topics today. So this podcast may not be for everybody. So, but like I said, please listen to it because Courtney's got a story to tell. And it's a powerful, true, and honest story. So, right, Courtney, you better take us back to the beginning, and then you. So, what led you down the creative path that you're on now?
um, I think it started at school as songwriting. I'm not gonna lie, it did. Um,
I have
and
to
then
ask you, could you sing?
can't sing to save my life. I can't. I'm the sort of person that sings in the shower and no one hears. That's how bad I am. But yeah, and then I guess start writing poetry started around 4 to 5 years ago, I think. Um, and I guess for me, because I'm autistic, diagnosed autistic, and I've suffered with my mental health, I think that stemmed a lot of my expressions, and it was kind of like a process for me to be able to let out some of those thoughts and emotions on the page.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think for a lot of writers, the trauma starts you off. Something's gone wrong. You need to use it to express yourself. And I think you're a really good example of this because obviously, like I said, we know you started about 4 years ago, but you've not been performing for 4 years, have you? Because it came along later on.
Mhm. Yeah, performing did come a lot later for me because I'm the type of person that's really, 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 really quiet and really, really, really shy until you knock on that door, and then I'd come leashing out of that cage. I don't know how, but yeah. Um, but I started performing in 2022 or summer 2022. I remember that was just a moment, and it was actually with support of someone called Kezabel Ambler, which I know she's been on Spoken Label before.
Great lady, great lady. I'm
Yeah.
going to speak to her over the autumn winter. I want to get Kez back on here again as well.
Yeah,
Anyway,
she's amazing, and I met her through one of her writing groups actually, and I think the year before, she was nudging me to go to this event, and I was I'm a bit too scared for that. But 2022, I think she got me into this local project, and then I got to perform at Kettfest with her in 2022 for the first time, and that was kind of my first way in, really. So, yeah.
now you've sent to me a video, obviously, where yourself, was it one of your very early performances, wasn't it, from right at that point? And it was fascinating because, I'm glad I don't have footage of me from my first start performing because I'd be cringing at it. But it's the way you are. I've seen you, some of your very recent reasons. You're brilliant. You were compelling as hell. But do you look back at yourself in those days and think, my good grief, you think your approach has changed, hasn't it, a lot with your work?
Oh, yeah, it has a lot. Like when I see those videos back from 2022, I just think I was so shy that I could see it on my face. I was so shy and so scared. And the difference now, I've just gained confidence, and it's a beauty to see, I think.
Yeah. If people follow you on social media, they see some of the festivals you've done this summer, which we will come on to in a minute. And even if I've not seen videos of them, you've absolutely, I use the word bossed it because you did, right? No two ways about it. I'm so proud of you for that. Now, you were talking about, obviously, Kezabel led you in for a workshop, didn't you, to get into your writing? Now, I know you run your own workshop, don't you, as well, in a local library. Now,
Yes.
I have two questions for this here for you. First of all, explain to us where this came from. Do you do it? People wondering, they'll soon find out. You do it, it's twice a month, isn't it?
Yes. So I run the workshop on a second and fourth Wednesday afternoon of every month. That came out right. Yeah, yes, that is right. And it kind of came from the fact that there's a couple of reasons behind this. One of them is I've always wanted to do something of my own to some extent, that people can come in and, be themselves. That's kind of what I wanted. But at the same time, where I live, there isn't a massive diverse of things for poets. Like, so for example, if you went to Leicester, for example, there's loads of things around Leicester, or I've been to Nottingham and there's loads of things in Nottingham, and I thought in North Northamptonshire there isn't that much, so I thought I'll put myself there, and hopefully people come, and they have been coming. So
good. Now, how many people do you get coming to your groups normally then?
I'm here. Oh, it froze for a second.
Oh, did it? Oh, people put
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, I was going to ask you, how big are your group in your local library normally?
There's normally four people, 4 to 5 people that come.
That's plenty. That's plenty of that.
Yeah, I haven't even been running a year yet. So
Dinner.
No, I haven't even been running a year. So I think it's quite a nice small group, and I can have that one-on-one time with some of them sometimes, just to go through things with them. So
now, the other question I want to ask you in relation to this is, obviously, you came through, didn't you, through Kezabel's group when she was running the group. How does it feel from going to a group to actually running a group?
I think for me, it feels good because I can pass on what I've learned. Because I've been through that stage of going to a group that actually works, and absorbing all of that, what's gone good, and then implementing that with my own little twist to it, Courtney style, as I say. So
yeah, cool. Yeah. The courts, they call it. You always dress yourself to me, don't you? Right? I call you Courtney, but I know people call you courts, don't they? Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I like that. No, fair play to you. Now, there's a few more bits and pieces we're going to cover today. So I want to learn next about, you've been doing some work, haven't you, with Writing East Midlands?
Yes.
Now, tell us about that next.
But the story behind this is that they do writing workshops for autistic people, and that project is called Beyond the Spectrum. So there's groups for adults, there's groups for kids as well, online and in person. And I started going to their workshops at the beginning of 2023 and absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I got in my first anthology with them, and that progressed into me joining like a mentoring program called WEM Turns, and that then gave me a work opportunity to be a shadow writer for their young people's Beyond the Spectrum program online.
Brilliant. Now, we better clarify this to people as well, because it's not something I'd come across before this, because what exactly is a shadow writer?
So a shadow writer is someone, I'm going to use my own words for this.
Best to you.
Is someone who supports the lead writer in running a workshop. And under Writing East Midlands, it includes like taking the notes and anything that happened in the session, and just really answering any additional questions that the participants need. That's my job as a shadow writer anyway. And also it's just for me that the participants have an extra person. So if they need someone to talk to, so they might not feel comfortable talking to the lead writer for any reason. And I think that extra person really, really helps them as well.
Yeah, no, I understand completely. Yeah, no, agree. It's like, yeah, the backbone to it, really. Yeah, no, it's like almost like you're a teaching assistant, aren't you, in some ways, providing a lot of support on the side. That's great. It's again, something I hadn't heard that before, but not brilliant. Okay, now you've done a couple of festivals, haven't you? Well, reasonably recently. Like it was, I said, we've talked about one of them already, but I want to learn about both these. Tell us about Kettfest Festival first of all, then.
Oh, Kettfest. I feel like that's where I was born, because that's as a poet, because it is a yearly festival that happens in Kettering in Northamptonshire, and it's basically music, stalls, spoken word, local community organisations, and it's a beautiful day. It is a beautiful, or weekend sometimes. It's a beautiful environment, and I'm normally on the spoken word stage normally, and I've done it ever since I've started performing. I've done it every year since.
Brilliant. So I said we've done it for a couple of years now. So do you find then every year you do it now, you think to yourself, your approach has changed constantly, hasn't it, with this festival?
Yeah, and it's definitely changed, because it depends what's happened. I try and focus on, it's not like I really focus on, but I think about how far I've come in since that last year. You know, what progress have I made? How far have I come? What feelings have come up in that year? And I feel like that yearly event, it marks, it's like my anniversary kind of thing as well, of performing as well. So it's kind of magical, really.
No, it does. It's something proud of yourself. Like it's one of your regulars. As like I said, people know I run a regular night. If we had a regular festival, that was something we'd be looking forward to every year. And I get you completely with it. Brilliant. Okay, now the other one, obviously, unless you've got another one, a third one out you've not told me about, is Corby Pride. So I want to learn about Corby Pride. How you first started going to this festival, and how many years have you been doing this for?
Well, Corby Pride, their first one was actually last year.
Oh, so it's a new
So
one,
it was
isn't
a
it?
fairly new Pride that's come up, and it was actually my brother that kind of got me into going along with him, because he's like, Courtney, I really want to go. Come with me. I need a buddy to come with me. And I was like, okay, I'll come. So I didn't know what to expect because I've never been to one before this point. And I went, and it was probably one of the most heartfelt, fun days that I've had in a while at that point. And I said to myself, I'm going back next year. Whatever date it's on, I'm going. And I planned on going anyway. But then an opportunity came up where the library where I do my group actually got in touch with the organisers of Pride and said, oh, Courtney, about me. And then they contacted me saying, we've heard about you. Do you want to perform at Pride with your group? And I was like, yeah. I was kind of went, yeah, straight away in my head. I was like, yeah. Because what an opportunity that is I couldn't turn it down, No,
fair play to you. Now, obviously then, compare the two festivals. Did you find then that the sets you are provided paired with Kettfest Festival varied quite a bit from Corby Pride?
I actually did 2 completely different sets.
Ooh,
believe it or not.
That's brave.
2
well done.
Completely different sets. Because when I went to Kettfest, it was like, I know the people there. I've been there every year. And that was kind of I kind of did a journey of Courtney on that day, on that set. And then I went to Pride, and it was very Pride related poems that I didn't read at Kettfest, and pretty much all my set was Pride related poems. So it was like 2 different sides of Courtney on 2 different stages.
Well done. Yeah. Well done. That's good that if you don't want to do completely different sets, no, brilliant. Now, the next part of the podcast we're going to do, unfortunately, we've been quite light-hearted so far. We're going to go into the trigger warnings now, so I have to apologise for this, but it's valid stuff we're going to talk about next. Now, Courtney, at the minute, have you completed your book now, Courtney, or are you still re-editing it slightly?
I'm just going through the final stages of proofreading and editing it at the moment.
That's fine. Well, I've seen the draft of the manuscript, and it's tremendous. Yeah, she's in the process at the moment, and unless the title's changing and you've not told me this, as far as I'm aware, it's called your first collection's almost ready now, called Nights Like This. Now, this is where I'm going to have to do the trigger warnings is for various reasons. So, but do you want to tell us? I don't want to go into too much of it today because I want to save this for a full deep dive when the book's going to get published for you. So I promise you in the future. But I think we do need to tell people a little bit about the book. So, do you want to tell us about where this collection's come from?
It comes from, my book is basically about life after grief, after losing someone. In my case, I lost a child last year, and it basically goes through a lot of the emotions and the thoughts, and the anxieties and the fears of life after grief for me anyway. And for me, it was kind of a learning curve in my life because it made me, it was the most painful thing I've been through. I had a few breakdowns and stuff in that time, but it kind of made me open my eyes to say to myself that everything in my life wasn't wrong, but my approach was a bit wrong because I was in severe burnout, autistic burnout, and I didn't even know it before that point. And it kind of made me realize I couldn't do certain things that I kept pushing myself to do. Like, I realized how bad my anxiety was as well, like going to poetry nights or going outside, and I think that made me realize I couldn't do the things that I used to do anymore.
Yeah,
and yeah.
I do. How long did it take you to write the book?
Over a year.
Over a year, yeah, you can tell. Because obviously, I don't want to go too much details on this because it's your own story. But I know you told me that you effectively miscarried, didn't you? Was it the beginning of last year, didn't you? And unfortunately,
yeah.
And then you've been on this book ever since, and it's a powerful book. It really is, and like I said, I know at the moment we're not going to go too much details. I know you've been speaking to a few publishers about this, and hopefully it'll be out fairly soon. Okay, so keep us informed on that. So yeah, like I said, it's a powerful book. Now, you've also been doing I think it's this week, wasn't it? So you've done 2 podcasts in a week. So you've been on another podcast, which I think is probably going to come out before this one, called Healing Trauma. So I want to learn about this next. So where did this podcast come from, and how did you get in touch?
It's thanks to Kettfest again, actually, because me and her recently collaborated with a local charity in a project, and obviously we were both there together, and she suggested that I'll get in touch with this lady who runs another local charity called Kids Aid, and Kids Aid do a podcast, which you've mentioned, and they wanted me on, and it's about, I know this series is about mental health, and they asked me, we had a little chat about mental health, which you'll hear on the podcast, but yeah, it'll be released on Spotify hopefully soon.
Really, fingers crossed, you definitely with that one. So you're gonna, as this is now your second podcast, and I'm not going to ask you which one's your favourite, right? Because that's a bit cruel. But I have to ask you in it, like now you've done 1.5 podcasts. How do you feel like develop the podcast to podcast? It can be very, very different experiences, can't they?
Yeah, I think both of these are very, 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 very different, because one's talking about my poetry, which is one thing, and then the other one was talking about my mental health, which, yeah, again, it's very different from each other.
Yeah, so, agreed. Good podcasts, no matter what the topic on are, can really, the art is to get the guest on to feel comfortable and talk to you about the story. And I'm looking forward to this podcast because people know that we talk every day basically now about your writing and your creativity. So I'm looking forward to learning things about you in this as well. So, so right, okay, on to the wrap-up questions now. So I know you've got a surprise for me now, and you wouldn't tell me what this was before. So I know one of the things you've got coming up next, but I know there's 2. So I always ask people, what plans do you have coming up next? Tell us about the thing that I know about, first of all.
The one you know about is, I'm so excited for this. It's actually Orcscape. It's called Orcscape, and it is a yearly conference for autistic people to attend, and it's created by autistic people, and it's basically a 3-day conference where autistic people can go and take part in workshops and activities and or not, and be in nature, and and I went a couple years ago for the first time, and let me tell you, when I say it was the best decision that I have ever made in my whole life, I'm still banging on about that 2 years later. So that obviously means a lot. And
brilliant.
Last year I couldn't go for personal reasons, but this year I decided I'm definitely going to go. And I saw that they were looking for presenters and people to run activities, and I put in for a writing workshop because I was like, I'll do my own writing group, I can possibly do something, and I got a yes. So I'll be doing a writing workshop at Orcscape, which is the 28th of August to the 31st of August, and my one will be on the 30th, my workshop.
Brilliant stuff, great stuff. I'll get this podcast out before that, and I'll make sure you give me all the details so I can make sure we plug it properly for you. Now, perks of spoken label sometimes is when the guest says, "Oh, I've got something else I want to mention last minute." I don't know what Courtney's going to mention next to me here, so surprise me, my friend.
So on National Poetry Day, which is on October the 3rd, I think.
It's October 3rd, yeah.
I've been asked by Corby Library to be a special guest with the anthologies I'm in, and go in and support the new author and show off my anthologies. So that's where I'm going to be on October the 3rd, 10 a.m. to 11:30.
Great stuff. Oh, well done. Well deserved, right? Brilliant
Thank
stuff.
you.
I'm so proud of you. Okay. Now, okay, we better do the. I always term the hard sell, but you at the minute, obviously, I know you're in a few anthologies, aren't you? So, can you remember any of these anthologies are called so people know if you want to check out your work in printed form?
My most recent one is Speak Out by the Word Association. They're based in Worcestershire, I think. I'm actually going to be a feature there supporting Charlotte at Speak Your Mind on the 7th of August. I know this might come out later.
This comes out way later than that. Yeah.
But that is me doing that. And Our Time and Space by Writing East Midlands. I've been in Sisterhood Festival anthology, which is in Bradford, and I have been in the Northamptonshire local zine / anthology with my poems and photographs in there too, because I'm a little bit of a photographer behind the scenes. So yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Okay. Social media plug times. Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram. I'm Courts_Ward. That's my Instagram account. And if you want to find me on Facebook, Courtney Ward. I'm sure you can find me pretty easily. My face doesn't look like anyone else's, I don't think. So
don't underrate yourself, right? Brilliant. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, right, so that everybody. That's the end of part one. Been lovely chatting to get introducing Courtney today. Like I said to you, she will be coming back for future anyway, but we'll do part 2 first anyway, because she's going to read out a number of poems. So hang around, everybody. Thank you, Courtney. It's been a great part 1, this. We will see you all in 2 shakes of the dice.